Hello, and welcome back to Dark Tower YouTube, where we're doing a deep psychological dive into Stephen King's magnum opus, The Dark Tower. My name is Michelle McEwen. I am your host, and today we are talking about Chapter 3 of The Gunslinger, The Oracle and the Mountains. This week's reading, we are meeting a succubus who lives in a stone circle, which is so cool, and then Jake is almost killed by her. Not great. We finally meet the man in black face to face this week, and we have Roland uncoupling himself from Jake. Roland. So let's pick up where we left off, which was not a great ending to chapter 2. If you'll remember, Roland had intuited that Jake was to be a sacrifice because it always ends on the killing grounds. It's always the same thing. And so it must be the same this time with Jake being called a sacrifice. So we didn't like that at all. And this week we open up chapter 3 with a sentence that we don't like at all. And it's a good Stephen King-ism where King likes to do the thing of, that was the last time they saw her alive. And you're reading and you say, wait, no, what? Huh? And then he just carries on, and now you know that this person is going to die, or maybe not, but you're not sure, and you're thrown into a state of automatic tension and suspense because the characters don't know what is going on there. So he does that with this first opening sentence, which is, "The boy found the oracle, and it almost destroyed him." Ooh, what's an oracle? And almost destroyed him. Is he okay? Is what's happening here? So we're in from moment 1 in chapter 3. But we can't just find out what happened to Jake. We have to backtrack and get these two out of the desert. We're out of the desert. Thank goodness for that. That was getting too hot for me, and I didn't like the sandblasting, and we're done with the desert. That feels good. We got into some more grass in the foothills, and then some scrubby little trees, and then running water and lush greenery now. So fantastic mood shift. And Roland is laughing. There's a praying mantis on Jake's head, and Roland laughs in delight. We haven't heard him laugh in this book. He's not a man that seems quick for humor or quick to laugh. So it's just wonderful. And then we remember, oh, wait, but he is maybe going to sacrifice this kid. And then, oh, wait, Jake's in really bad danger right now. So we can't fully enjoy that moment as much as we would like to. Roland has a dream one night at camp, and it is of Susan Delgado. Now, this is a name that we have heard before, and Susan Delgado was a name that was brought up back in chapter 1 at Sheb's. So Sheb comes in, and he's all jealous of Allie and Roland being together, and he's got a knife, and he's going to kill Roland, I guess he thinks, but no, you're not, because Roland's going to just break both of your wrists very easily. But Roland recognizes him in that moment. He thought he knew him, but now he recognizes him and he says, "You were there. You were with Susan in Mayhe's. I remember you, the night of the reap, the night of the bonfire." And then Sheb recognizes Roland, and he's like, you were just kids. And it's a weird moment. We don't know what they're talking about, but here we have Susan showing up in this dream. And it's not a great dream. And paired with the idea of the night of the reap, the night of the bonfire, we're not thinking it's everyone's hanging out and toasting marshmallows and singing campfire songs. I don't think that's what was going on there. Paired with this dream, it feels like perhaps Susan was the main feature of the bonfire, burned at the stake. Not sure. And Roland in the dream is like, this isn't how it happened in real life, but dreams are funny like that. In the dream, he's there, but he's being held back. He's in chains or something. Chains, bound, trapped. Can't rescue her. And she starts yelling about Jake the boy, and he sees Jake all white as an alabaster saint with a stake through his forehead. So that's not a wonderful vision. And it's the first, though, of Jake being compared to an alabaster saint, a marble statue, white, light versus dark. And that will be a theme that's picking up steam in this chapter. So I'll pull it out again. There's going to be another big light and dark episode a little bit later, but we'll pay attention, looking out for those. In the dream, she's saying, the boy, Roland. Roland wakes up and he sees that Jake is gone from camp, and he runs out to find him. He can hear that he's in distress. He approaches a stone circle where there's a sex demon, a succubus, that's draining the life force from Jake. Jake is paralyzed. He can't move. He can't speak. He's in big trouble here. Roland has the jawbone from the cellar where the prophecy was given, go slow through the drawers, Gunslinger. I don't think I remembered to say that last show, that he pulled that jawbone out of the wall and stuck it in his pocket and took it with him in case he should need it. And he does need it here. King writes, he didn't think about what he was doing when he pulled the half-rotted jawbone from the pocket where he had carried it since he found it in the lair of the speaking demon at the way station. He didn't think, but it had never frightened him to operate on pure instinct. That had ever been the best and truest place for him. He held the jawbone's frozen, prehistoric grin up before his eyes, holding his other arm out stiffly, first and last fingers pointed out in the ancient forked sign, the ward against the evil eye. It works. It doesn't let him become enchanted. He holds it in front of Jake's face and it breaks the spell of the demon. Jake collapses. Roland scoops him up, runs out of there and back to camp. And we have this moment between them. King writes, the gunslinger paused for a moment above the gray ruin of the fire. The moonlight on Jake's face reminded him again of a church saint, alabaster purity all unknown. He hugged the kid and put a dry kiss on his cheek, knowing that he loved him. Well, maybe that wasn't quite right. Maybe the truth was that he loved the kid from the first moment he'd seen him, as he had Susan Delgado, and was only now allowing himself to recognize the fact. For it was a fact, and it seemed that he could almost feel the laughter from the man in black, someplace far above them. Well, more Susan, so we're getting the Susan beat again. Also Jake being compared to that alabaster saint again. Also directly comparing Jake with Susan and saying he fell in love with Jake immediately as he had fallen in love with Susan Delgado immediately. That is making me think about these quartet, which we heard about. We haven't gotten it again. I'm trying to think. I think we get it next chapter. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but we did hear that it was a group of people bound together by fate or destiny, and being able to share water, kef, that sharing of mind or water between these people who are quartet. Feels like that was what happened with Susan. Feels like that is what's happening with Jake. So some direct comparisons being made there for what it's worth. Also, he loves this kid a lot, and he loved him from the moment he saw him. That's a really nice scene, isn't it? It's very tender and touching until he says, and the man in black must be getting a load of this. He must be loving this, that I love this kid. And he ruins it with that idea. He's laughing at me because of this love that I have. That may be true, but he's a bad guy, so who cares? Like, you love this kid. Doesn't that count for anything? Doesn't that matter? Does it have to be all part of the Man in Black's evil plan? Was Susan Delgado part of the Man in Black's evil plan? Or are you just super jaded in love because you lose the people that you love? We don't know. But Roland is just like, this sucks. And we're like, yeah, but you're making it suck. Stop with the sucking, Roland. The next day, Roland decides, I'm going to go see the succubus because I think she's going to tell me some things. I need to know what I'm doing with my life, and she's going to tell me because I can't figure it out on my own. He doesn't say all of that, but that's what's happening here. And Jake is like, no, don't go. That's really dangerous. Probably a bad idea. But Roland says, don't worry, I have some mescaline. And he does. He has this little sack that he has many treasures in, including a little tablet of mescaline, because you never know when you're going to come across a succubus in a stone circle in the middle of some ancient abandoned mountains. We're getting mad at Roland, but man, he's cool. He's so cool. We just want to bring him to the party. He's invited to the dinner party, am I right? So Roland gets stoned and the drugs kick in and off he goes. On his way there, I want to pull out a little thing that happens. So he's all drugged up and Stephen King writes, the drug had often disturbed him. His ego was too strong, or perhaps just too simple, to enjoy being eclipsed and peeled back, made a target for more sensitive emotions. They tickled at him and sometimes maddened him like the touch of a cat's whiskers. Fantastic writing there, because it is, we know the feeling of the touch of a cat's whiskers. His ego was too strong or too simple. Either way, the ego is getting in the way of Roland processing these deeper parts of himself. He doesn't like to look at those things. No big surprise to us because we've been watching him struggle with this since page 1 of the book. He doesn't like it. Why is he questioning his guns? Why is he questioning, is he becoming like the Man in Black is? He has deep discomfort with these things and usually just pushes it off to the side, maybe possibly for later consideration, but we haven't been seeing him consider these things at all. We've just seen him kind of fall into, it's always been this way, it's always going to be this way. No deeper thought about it. The language here about it made him a target for more sensitive emotions. He's a gunslinger, so that gun language I feel like is meaningful and a big deal to say this is really hard for him. And again, we're like, yeah, we know he isn't looking at it, but we know. Unfortunately for everybody, the drug does not have that effect on him this time. So he's able to just go about his business, but we are given that little peek into his psychology there, which is meaningful and important. He gets to the stone circle, and I just love that because stone circles are cool. Stone circles are all over England and Scotland, and I imagine there's some in Ireland. I just know the ones in England because those are the ones that I've seen, and Wales. So Stonehenge for sure is the big stone circle that everybody probably knows about, and that one's amazing if you've seen it in person because it's massive, and the stones came from thousands of miles away. How did they move them there? Whatever, thousands of years ago. Nobody really knows, and lots of theories about what they were doing there, but nobody really knows for sure, but really fun to think about. But there's tons of smaller stone circles that you can just walk right up to and kind of sit on and be with and imagine who was there 5,000 years ago, putting those stones into the circle. And what were they trying to do? What was the ritual that was happening? I love it so much. So I'm always excited to see a stone circle show up in a story like this. He goes in and he gets on the altar that's in there and he lays down, and the succubus is coming, and she appears to Roland in the form of Susan Delgado. So again, with the Susan stuff, here we are again. This was a meaningful person in Roland's life, a meaningful feminine energy in his life who is no longer with him. And it feels a little cruel. He is remembering being with this woman and feeling love at the idea of her, but then it's a demon, so not great. So it's a little cruel for her to show up as she does, the succubus. The gunslinger wants prophecy. He wants truth because he can't figure out what the hell he's doing with his life. We've seen him say, I don't know why I'm chasing the man in black. I think he has to tell me something. I think maybe he needs to take me to the Dark Tower. Maybe she'll tell me what is going to happen next. And just like sex was traded for information back in chapter 1, here it is happening again with Roland giving up his sexual force to the succubus. She does give him a prophecy, and she talks about how he's going to draw 3. But it's kind of vague. We hear about the demon infesting one of these people. The demon's name is heroin. Roland doesn't know what that is. We do, but Roland doesn't. The second one comes on wheels. I see no more. What does that mean? The third is death. Uh-oh. But not for you. Huh? Okay, thanks, I guess. Sure. Prophecy, okay, that'll happen if you're telling the truth, and then we'll find out. Or it won't if you're not telling the truth. But not super relevant or practical. It's good for us as the reader to think about, oh, this could be happening in this book maybe, or in the next book, or sometime in the series. We'll have to hang in and see. But not super meaningful for Roland about why is he on the quest for the Dark Tower? Is he going to catch the man in black? Is he going to get there? Who is hanging out at the Dark Tower? None of that is being talked about here. So not super useful. We do get to the part about Jake, though. And Roland is asking about the boy that he's decided is a sacrifice at this point. King writes, may he not be spared? Yes. How? Cease, gunslinger. Strike your camp and turn back northwest. In the northwest, there is still a need for men who live by the bullet. I am sworn by my father's guns and by the treachery of Martin. Martin is no more. The man in black has eaten his soul. This you know. I am sworn. Then you are damned. So the oracle here is calling him out. She's saying, you don't have to do this. And I don't know that that's the answer that Roland anticipated here. She's like, oh yeah, you can save Jake. Sure, just turn around. Actually, they need people like you in the Northwest. They could use your help. And Roland's like, no, I can't, because I'm sworn. I'm sworn by my father's guns and by the treachery of Martin. And she's like, Martin doesn't exist anymore. And this isn't even news to Roland, apparently. She's saying, this you know. The man in black has eaten his soul, whatever that means, but he's not around anymore, so you don't need to be sworn by him. And we know that Roland's father is dead, so he has the guns, but that's an inanimate object. And what did Martin even do? The treachery of Martin. I mean, that sounds pretty serious. But none of these people are around anymore. It's not something that Roland can even entertain. He doesn't even have a conversation about it. He just doubles down on, I am sworn. And the oracle is like, okay, then you're damned. I don't know what else to tell you. You don't have to do this. There's a life for you out there. You don't want to? That's on you, pal. Let's see how that works out for you. Too bad. He has sex with the succubus. And it's, I guess, about what you would expect. Pretty tiring, maybe a bit much. He does well enough. He does a good job. And at some point he pushes her off and he's like, okay, enough already. I gotta get out of here. So he got some information that wasn't super helpful about 3 that are going to come into his life somehow. And then he got some advice information about he doesn't have to do this. He disregards that. And then he has sex with a demon. I don't know. Maybe it was better than I'm imagining it. Doesn't seem like a great use of his time, though, all in all. So Roland is going to go back to the camp to see Jake, and he gets this sudden impulse to share everything that just happened with Jake. We remember learning that Roland is acting, when he's acting on impulse, it's working out well for him. It's his truest and best when he's just operating on pure instinct, pure impulse. That works out for him. He's strong in that suit. But here he doesn't do it. So his impulse is to tell Jake everything that happened. And this is what King writes. Then he thrust the idea away with horror. He wondered if a part of him, mind or soul, might not be disintegrating. To open one's mind and heart to the command of a child, the idea was insane. Is it insane to tell people that we love what's going on in our lives? Is that insane? Feels like a good instinct to me, good intuition. To open his mind to the command of a child. So a vulnerability there, his mind and his heart. So Roland doesn't like to feel that vulnerability, I think. That word din is used, and we feel like it has something to do with command, not sure. But he is just horrified that he even had this thought. But he had it, and it was his instinct, his intuition. So why can't you act on this? Also, the idea that my soul and my mind are disintegrating, that's big talk. How could I be thinking about telling this kid what's going on that directly involves him? That's insane. Am I losing my mind? Is my soul disintegrating? No. You're losing your mind and your soul is disintegrating because you're considering sacrificing this boy that you love in pursuit of the man in black. That's why. That's why, Roland. Okay? There. I fixed you. You're welcome. Can you think about it a little bit differently? No, not today. Not today. He has so much inner conflict around this, and it just wells up, and that whole thing is just, it hurts my stomach when we're like, yeah, you should talk to Jake about this. And he just thrusts the idea away with horror. It's awful. We want to have some empathy for Roland here, though, because we've done the same thing. We've done the same thing where we probably should have told somebody something. There was something that involved them and we didn't say it. Why? Lots of reasons. Don't want to get in trouble, don't want to feel guilty, don't want to mess up the relationship. But that withholding usually does mess up the relationship, and usually worse than if you had just been honest, because the truth usually comes out. And when it does, then who told the person? They didn't find out from you, so who was it? And now we've damaged trust, and probably the relationship is over. It might have been anyway, but I don't know. If you were honest, maybe not. We've done this, and how did it work out for you? It didn't work out great for me. So we're going to remember that Roland is a human being acting like a human being, and we're seeing ourselves reflected back in him. Still really mad at Roland, though. I love Roland. I love Roland so much that I'm making this show about him probably for the next year of my life. That's how much I love Roland. And I get so damned angry at him in this book, The Gunslinger. He makes me so mad. I don't know what to do with him. I just want to shake him and smack him in the face. Can you relate? Okay. Things are not feeling great for me, though, at this point in the chapter. He is at least questioning his decision to call Jake a sacrifice. So we're not totally giving up on Roland yet. Roland hears Jake saying these words over the campfire, these magical words, or maybe we don't know if they're magic or not, this little sing-song incantation. Spark a dark, where's my sire? Will I lay me? Will I stay me? Bless this camp with fire. And Jake is saying that as he makes the fire. Roland understands that Jake is doing this because Roland has done it. So Jake is just mirroring back what Roland does, learning from Roland, taking up the course that Roland has shown. And we get to hear what Roland is thinking in this moment. King writes, "Picked it up from me," the gunslinger thought, not in the least surprised to discover he was all over goosebumps and on the verge of shivering like a wet dog. Picked it up from me. Words I don't even remember saying. And will I betray such? Ah, Roland, will thee betray such true thread as this? In a sad, unthreaded world, could anything justify it? No. No. The answer is no. Nothing can justify it. I'm glad you're asking the question. I'm glad he doesn't jump in answering that question. Well, the tower justifies it. Well, the treachery of Martin. Well, my father's guns. He doesn't do any of that here. It's a very heartfelt moment. And we have a lot of faith now that Roland is able to do the right thing. They start climbing the mountains, and it turns out to be super easy. So I'm going to return to my theory about walking in love and flying in chains. And anytime we notice a change in pace or rhythm, when we're picking up speed, I'm getting a little nervous now because of those chains that bind. We're not walking slowly in love anymore. Go slow, gunslinger. So I don't like it. And even Roland's like, man, this is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. That might not be a great thing here. Jake is also getting a sense that things are not terrific. He starts asking questions. King writes, "Why am I here?" Jake asked. "Why did I forget everything from before?" Because the man in black has drawn you here, the gunslinger said, and because of the tower. The tower stands at a kind of power nexus in time. I don't understand that. Nor do I, the gunslinger said. But something has been happening, just in my own time. The world has moved on, we say. We've always said. But it's moving on faster now. Something has happened to time. It's softening. Wow, a lot in there. The man in black has drawn you here. Go slow through the drawers, drawn. You will draw 3. The tower is a power nexus in time. The tower is a power nexus in time. That is cool AF. I love it. Aren't you so curious now about what exactly is this? And what does that have to do with Jake being here? Roland feels like that's important to bring up when Jake asks the question. Super cool. Also, Roland linking it to the world moving on. Time is softening, and there's something about the tower being that time nexus that's throwing us all off. And remember, West isn't true West anymore. So we're feeling like something's wrong at the tower. What? No idea. Roland doesn't even know himself. Jake's like, I don't know what that means. Roland's like, I don't know. Something about a power nexus. I don't know. Time softening. You know how it is, kid. I know what it means. Time is softening. Do you know what that means? I've felt that before. Anyway, we'll find out or we won't, but we're starting to get very itchy and curious about being on this quest for the Dark Tower. Jake asks Roland, where do you come from? And King writes, from a place that no longer exists. Do you know the Bible? Jesus and Moses. Sure. The gunslinger smiled. That's right. My land had a biblical name. New Canaan, it was called. The land of milk and honey. In the Bible's Canaan, there was supposed to be grapes so big that the men had to carry them on sledges. We didn't grow them that big, but it was a sweet land. And we saw that land in a flashback, and it seemed pretty darn nice, good, lush. But quickly, the world moved on. What happened? Jake's like, was there a war? And Roland says, there was a revolution. And we won every battle, but we lost. And nobody won, for that matter. It was just bad all around. Jake continues to ask questions. King writes, was it pretty? Your country, your land? It was beautiful, the gunslinger said. There were fields and forests and rivers and mists in the morning. But that's only pretty. My mother used to say that the only real beauty is order and love and light. So Roland lived in this beautiful land, New Canaan, and it's so funny to us because he's saying, do you know the Bible, Jake? And we're all reading like, yeah, we do. And it's sprinkled all over this book pretty liberally, but you know the Bible, Roland, and now we get another brick in that wall of, yes, the Bible is a thing, it exists in their world, it exists in our world, it seems like the same book, and Roland's living in a place that was named after it. Also, his mother talking about order and love and light. So this theme of darkness and light, the dark tower, order, love, and light. And his mother is saying this. And remember how we were introduced to the Dark Tower sandwiched between thoughts of his mother and the love that he had for her, and then the dark tower with horrible things and unspeakable practices, chaos, disruption, bad stuff, in contrast to order, love, and light. And that's real beauty. So stick a flag in that light and darkness theme right there. That's big. Jake goes to sleep that night, but the gunslinger sits up late, thinking. King writes, such meditation was a novel thing for him, sweet in a melancholy sort of way, but still utterly without practical value. There was no solution to the problem of Jake other than the one the oracle had offered, and turning away was simply not possible. There might have been tragedy in the situation, but the gunslinger did not see that. He saw only the predestination that had always been there. And finally, his more natural character reasserted himself, and he slept deeply with no dreams. Okay, Roland, okay. Meditation is not like him. He's been doing a lot of it, though, throughout this book, and we're glad that he is. But he can't understand why he would be doing this. It has no practical value. I think it has a lot of practical value because it'll change your entire destiny, but okay, it's not practical to think about yourself. All right. And then he's thinking about, there's no solution. Meditating on this doesn't help me with a solution to the problem of Jake. There is no solution other than the one the oracle offered me. Yes, the oracle. This powerful demon who knows a lot about you, your past, your future, giving you solutions to the problem. It's a real solution, Roland. Don't just dismiss it other than that one. That's a good one. That's a big one. That's a real option for you. You just threw it away. Why? Because it's not possible. I hate that. Don't ever say that to me. Don't ever say, not possible. There's always a way. There's always a way to get something done. Even if we can't even imagine what the solution is, we can imagine that there's a way out. We're not trapped. We're not stuck. Roland is. It is not possible to turn away. And he doesn't even, in this moment, feel sad about that. His more natural character reasserted itself, that ego, that part of him that just doesn't want to look at hard things, that just is tower driven, let's go, this is how it is, this is how it's going to be, I'm going to the tower, I'll sacrifice whomever I need to sacrifice on the way there. Okay, I can go to sleep now. I feel pretty worried again with Roland. So he's tugging my heart around as he keeps kind of flip-flopping on his thoughts about this wonderful little boy. The next night, he dreams of Jake again as an alabaster saint with a nail through his forehead. So these are not great omens of things to come, not making us feel any better at this point. And this is all leading up to meeting the man in black. And they both know that this is coming. They both have this intuition that they're going to find him. They're going to finally see him. And Jake knows it, and he starts getting really nervous. Roland knows it, and gets this tug of anticipation, like, we gotta go faster. No, slow down. So this is Jake making this heartbreaking request to slow down, to stop before they find the man in black. King writes, "Please, please." The boy raised a fist as if to strike the gunslinger's chest. "No." The boy's face took on wonder. "You're going to kill me. He killed me the first time, And you're going to kill me this time. And I think you know it. The gunslinger felt the lie on his lips, then spoke it. You'll be all right. And a greater lie yet. I'll take care. Jake's face went gray, and he said no more. He put an unwilling hand out, and he and the gunslinger went around the elbow bend that way, hand in hand. On the other side, they came face to face with that final rising wall and the man in black. It's so awful because Roland is just lying through his teeth, knowing that he has maybe other plans for this kid. He's saying in that moment he felt the lie on his lips, you'll be okay. And he doesn't know that for sure. Jake does, though. Jake is smart and has this feeling, and he's like, he killed me and now you're going to. This is not good. He has no other choice, though, than to accept what Roland is telling him. Roland has choices and Jake does not. They meet the man in black, and we get another biblical reference to the man in black being compared to the prophet of doom. And that is the prophet Jeremiah. The book of Jeremiah is a dark book. Jeremiah was kind of like Louis Tully in Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters #1, the good one, where he's running around the city after his encounter with Gozer. And he's saying, you will perish in flames. You will perish in flames. Gozer is coming. That's the vibe of the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah is a real Debbie Downer. He just has bad things to say. God's coming. He's going to kill you. He's going to smite you. You better repent. All of that kind of stuff. That's Jeremiah. People don't like that. Get this guy out of here. What a drag he is. We don't need to listen to this. There is a part in the book of Jeremiah that I want to pull out. You can get a little taste of the prophet of doom and also a little Easter egg here that I like. So this is from the book of Jeremiah. I don't have the numbers, sorry. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. For the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. I am black. Astonishment hath taken hold on me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? We know Gilead. That's where Roland lives. I did an episode about Gilead, like I mentioned earlier, and talk about the balm of Gilead. So go watch that if you're interested. But I love how that just ties us all together. Prophet of doom, Jeremiah, Gilead, and we have that I am black, like just things are not going well. So we also have that theme of light and darkness there too. Yay. The man in black is giving a pretty bad prophecy here. It is kind of doom and gloom. He's saying, hey, Roland, I'm going to be so glad to talk to you on the other side. Just the two of us, side-eyeing Jake, poor little Jake. And that's about it. He's just kind of saying to Roland, I'll see you on the other side without that kid. And then he leaves. They're left alone with each other now after that just happened, and they're looking at each other, and Roland starts to see Allie's face superimposed over Jake's, and recognizing that scar, Allie's scar, she had a scar on her forehead, is in the same place that he's been dreaming about Jake having the nail through his head, the sacrifice. He also shot Alice between her eyes, so just this area of the face, but making a direct correlation between those two characters. He's already compared Jake to Susan Delgado, and now he's comparing him directly to Alice, both women that he loved, and this kid that he does love, even though he's thinking about doing something not nice to him. And in this moment, we are also shown what he is thinking. And King writes, "The gunslinger felt a great and unholy thirst in some deep, unknown pit of his body, one no draught of water or wine could touch. Worlds trembled, almost within reach of his fingers, and in some instinctual way he strove not to be corrupted, knowing in his colder mind that such strife was in vain and always would be. In the end, there was only Ka." There's that instinct again popping up, that instinctual urge to not be corrupted. Roland is at his truest and best, we were told, when he's operating on instinct. And here it is, not to be corrupted. Do that, Roland. That's your truest and best, and it feels truest and best. It's almost in reach of his fingers. It's very close. The part of Roland that doesn't want to do anything bad is a strong force fighting with that other side of him. And in this moment, the colder voice, that ego voice, that part of him that doesn't want to peel back and look at emotions, is like, nope, this is in vain. You shouldn't even think about that stuff. It's always been that way. It's always going to be this way. That's Ka. That's not fair, though, and it completely disregards free will. We have free will. There is a choice. He's been given a choice by the oracle. He completely dismissed it, but it doesn't mean it wasn't there. And if I choose to do something differently, then isn't that now my destiny or my fate? Can't I, through choice, change trajectory? Otherwise, we're just robots then, and what's the point if we're just moving around on some fated line that can't be moved? There's no point in even being alive, I would say. We have free will. We're allowed to make choices. We're allowed to think differently and move in different ways, come what may. That is given to us. That is a gift for us, and it is for Roland. But his colder mind is like, nope, nope, nope. And we do that. We do that when we try to imagine something different for ourselves. I'm going to go on that vacation. I'm going to take that. I'm going to do that project. I'm going to go talk to that boy. No, you're not. No, you're not, because you know exactly what's going to happen. It always turns out the same way for you. What's the point? Just don't even bother with it. It's your destiny. You can't argue with destiny. There's a lot of people who think like that. It's going back to that idea of not possible. And when you think in those terms, always like this now, always going to be like this, something else better for me, not possible, your life is probably going to suck. Those people who live like that, they complain a lot. They complain a lot. And you know what they might say if they lived in Roland's world? It's just my Ka. We like to blame things on astrology. I do it myself sometimes. And it's like, I'm a Scorpio. I can't help it. Yes, I can. And if I'm saying that, I probably have some work to do in that area. So we do it all the time. People who do it consistently don't usually have a great life. It's the people who can catch themselves and say, wait, do I have a choice here? Is this just how I am? This is just who I am forever and ever, amen? Or do I have a choice? Can I think differently about it? Can I not be corrupted in this moment? Can I allow for possibility even if I don't know what that looks like? People who think like that and live like that have happier lives. They complain less. They enjoy things more. So who do you want to be? We definitely don't want to be like Roland in this moment because he's making me super mad at this point. Roland's going to give Jake a choice here, and it's a fake choice. Roland was given a real choice by the oracle. He dismissed it. I can't because of Martin, because of my father's guns. And even though the oracle's like, yeah, that's bullshit. I can't. Okay, sure. But he's giving Jake this choice now. Come with me or stay. That's not a choice, you asshole. And Jake is like, yeah, you asshole, that's not a choice. I can't stay here. I'm gonna die, dude. But Roland doubles down again. King writes, come with me or stay, the gunslinger repeated, and felt something happen in his mind, an uncoupling. That was the moment at which the small figure before him ceased to be Jake and became only the boy, an impersonality to be moved and used. That's bad. So Roland has uncoupled himself from Jake, and he starts climbing up the mountain and just leaves Jake standing there. Jake, not being given a choice, has to follow behind. We learned about that name Jake, meaning to follow behind. And here he is following behind Roland with no other choice than to do that. Let's think about this uncoupling for a moment. It feels to me that we do this too when we're trapped. When we feel like there's no other option, we decide, you're dead to me. You don't even exist anymore. I can't even think about you anymore because this problem is just, it's too much. So I'm just going to totally dissociate from you. I think you can relate to having that kind of feeling. Blocking somebody would be the equivalent also. You're dead to me. Do you really not care about that person anymore? Are you truly uncoupling from them? No. Probably more than ever, you are wanting to connect with them. You just don't know what else to do, and so you do that. So I want to, again, empathize with Roland. As difficult as it's getting in this book, we do the same thing here. And remembering that with us, anyway, it's usually not the end of that relationship. It's usually not a true, complete dissociation from that other person. So we'll have to see if Roland really means this, and what does that look like, or does he not, and what does that look like? We will find out if we continue to read together. As soon as he makes this decision, though, to uncouple, we end the chapter with King writing, and together they entered in where he had disappeared. The darkness swallowed them. Okay. Themes of light and darkness. Jake, the alabaster saint, now being swallowed by the darkness after Roland's decision to be corrupted, to make this choice. It's not fun. It's not good. I'm so invested in what happens next. How are you feeling? Where are you at with Roland? How angry are you with him? How much hope do you have in him? Has he uncoupled from Jake? What do you think that's going to look like? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please tell me what's going on. I'd love to have a discussion about all of these things. And we'll come back and we'll talk more about what happens when they descend into the darkness in chapter 4. That will be the next show. Chapter 4, The Slow Mutants, is what we're going to read. It's going to be in four parts. No, it's only going to be in 2 parts, chapter 4. So just be ready for that because it's a lot that I have to say about chapter 4. And that's it for this show. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to be back with you here again. And until we meet again, may you have long days and pleasant nights.